We've been hearing a lot about building infrastructure for AI this week, and there seems to be a consistent theme around having to build something new, build something flash, build something exciting. What we're going to discuss today is the requirement that you need a new kind of data center for AI. Welcome to the Tech Field Day podcast. We bring together a panel of experts to discuss a single topic around a key issue in the IT infrastructure world. This podcast brings together voices from within the Tech Field Day delegate community, and we often record these podcasts at one of our events. This particular podcast is recorded just as we're closing out AI Infrastructure Field Day. And what we're going to discuss today is the requirement that you need a new kind of data center for AI. But before we get into that discussion, let's meet who's on the panel today.
Hi, I'm Karen Lopez. I'm a data evangelist that specializes in security, privacy, and compliance challenges.
I'm Lino Telera. I'm a platform engineer focused on infrastructure automation and working for a digital trust company.
Hi, I'm Denise Donohue. I'm a network architect.
And I'm Alastair Cooke. I'm an event lead here at Tech Field Day. And of course, this podcast is also being distributed across the Futurum group through our TechStrong family within. We've been hearing a lot about building infrastructure for AI this week, and there seems to be a consistent theme around having to build something new, build something flash, build something exciting, maybe build something completely different from every data center that you've had before. But surely AI is just some computers working with some data on some network, and we've done that before.
So I think the foundation of that's correct. But I would say I'm all about designing to optimize certain workloads. And what we've learned this week, what we know from experience, is that AI has some special requirements that are very similar to high-performance workloads, but in another way. They use the hardware differently. They might need different network software or configurations. So that's what I learned this week.
Mm-hmm. And the design, for a network design, typical data center designs can be fairly loose as far as, you might put something here that you want to put, even if you're doing the strict leaf spine CLO architecture, then you might decide, okay, well, I'm going to adjust this a little bit here. I'm going to add this edge here. But the back-end infrastructure, the GPU to switch infrastructure for AI, it needs to be very specifically designed. It needs to be designed for very specific requirements.
It's a lot of that really high bandwidth, really dense bandwidth as well, because we're seeing the GPU in your server has 4 or 8 100 gig, 800 gig Ethernet ports in it, and that's a heck of a lot of bandwidth in a small space.
Yeah, and there is also, I think, from the platform engineering perspective, while we are creating a new infrastructure that is an high-performance infrastructure, from one side we have the networking that must work really well in order to have this model. Then for the other side, there are some new technologies or technologies that are empowering the model, the training on the model. And then there is also a word that it's definitely in my space, which is the AI ML pipeline, which is the new stage of the automation where you can train the model and then inferencing or make some RAG or implementing or bring this model for the to be useful for the companies that are adopting this kind of new technologies.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing too, we have to address it. We have to mention it is power requirements. Yeah. Space might not be such a big requirement, but not that many racks. But it's kind of like when we went from individual pizza box servers to virtualized servers, and you had much fewer racks, but the power and cooling requirements were much higher. This is that times 1,000, 1,000,000.
Yeah. We're seeing the power budget in the rack that previously ran the entire rack is now being consumed just for the optical transceivers for the network without even thinking about running the servers, let alone the GPUs. We hear frightening numbers about power density in racks from these reference architectures from NVIDIA.
For sure. And one of the things I like that we heard about from different companies is how they're focusing on even making those power sources from renewable energy and consuming wasted power and all of that stuff. Like I've always said, I like that idea of having servers in my basement to heat my home. That didn't quite pan out, probably because of networking struggles, but I really think there's going to be so much more public focus on, because it's making the regular news about how much, generating these funny cat videos more so in AI is just going to use a lot of power. I mean, to the point where companies are buying nuclear power plants to help back it up.
Yeah, for sure. This is another thing that we must consider in order to optimize the consumption on this new platform. Because we from the platform perspective, we talk about FinOps, and the FinOps topic is essential for to guarantee that all the business, all the monies that we are spending are completely fit on the business and without spending any other monies. And here, find new energy suppliers, find new ways to optimize the power consumption is fundamentally a critical part of this.
I think we saw in our last sessions today, we saw that use of reclaimed, reused power that was, or at least energy sources. It wasn't even we're going to hook into the grid to a place necessarily where there's excess power, but we would find places where there is energy waste and consume that. I think that's a really important part of the equation around here as we look at the stupendous growth in demand. Yeah. But Karen's basement has quite good internet connectivity. It's certainly lower latency to Karen's basement than it is to Iceland, or I was thinking of New Zealand. We also have natural gas flares that are burning off excess gas, but network connectivity. It seems, though, that the primary network connectivity required for AI is actually inside the data center. It's even more of the east-west bandwidth required rather than the north-south bandwidth to get out of the data center. Does that open up new options for us?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something you have, when you design any network, whether it's in any place in the network, whether it's a data center or what have you, you have to look at the requirements. Just this is so different from the requirements we've had before. This is taking the requirements that between virtualized servers and the 3-tier applications that we've had before and just, expanding them. So yeah, you've got to look at the networking between the servers, between the GPUs. It has to just, it has to be so, what was it? Not only fast, but not lossless. Someone pointed out, but less loss, because there is no such thing as lossless. Low latency, just all the things that are the hardest to achieve, I would say. I think the other side of that is, too, you've got to be able to measure it. We talked this week to some companies that are doing really good jobs of not only predictive measuring, predictive design, creating digital twins, but then measuring the actual real product once it happens. And I think that's something that, as network people, speaking as a network person, I don't know about the y'all, but as a network person, that's something that we don't do that well. We fall down on that, and I think that's something that's going to be a critical thing to address.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm looking forward to that tends to happen with any of these major changes is, I'm looking forward to all the lessons learned we've used to optimize for energy use, optimize for power consumption, will trickle back to our other infrastructure needs, all these tools and lessons learned where, because the extreme amount of extra power that's required is that we'll bring those back and also help solve some of our usage problems just with run-of-the-day database stuff.
And what we are seeing are during this AI infrastructure field day, some companies are moving on the integration, deep integration with cloud methodologies to consume and to better reorganize the networking east-west, but also north-south, and so. The thing is that when you try to put the fingers on networking, as you mentioned before, is the most important thing is the metering, the observabilities, and to even better and to fast identify where the problem is. And this is the other thing, and it's so important for these companies, the integration, the deep integration with the solution, but also integration with the other observabilities tools and and the other observabilities tools that companies already have implemented inside their data center.
Yeah, so true.
That sort of holistic view of what's going on in my data center, what am I changing, what's working correctly, what's working wrong, and then the ability to predict if I make these changes in the future, is something going to go wrong. I was hoping we would see more of that data pipeline, that AI pipeline, actually looking more like a CI/CD pipeline, where I could maybe stand up a test copy of my network we did see some test copy in an emulation, and then use that as part of my pipeline to validate that I can actually deploy this out into production. But that holistic view, I think, Lino, is the thing that is still a long way away. It takes a while for the new innovation to be integrated with the older things. Seeing open source tools like Prometheus for the instrumentation and then Grafana for the visualizations, those are the quick ways to get in there. Mm-hmm. But how many large organizations are staking all of their operation and all of their observability on the open source tools? How much are we actually seeing they're already staked into a legacy tool, and that in order to build this good AI data center, you're going to need to build a new kind of data center to support these more open source tools, because I don't see enterprise organizations that are that keen on using open source everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, and it doesn't have to be open source. I mean, you have NVIDIA, that's the big dog in this world, and they're no offense, NVIDIA, but they're very much not open source. They're very.
It's fine.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be, but I think that you're right. A lot of people are going to want to take advantage of that with the Sonic tool type setups, et cetera.
And I think it'll be just like any other monitoring tool when things come along, is that if those vendors respond in the right way by providing the right nuances, the right measurements, the right metrics, the right connectors and sensor readings, then it'll still be a normal decision between proprietary and open source software. But we know that the product teams that don't respond to it probably will become less and less relevant to an enterprise solution.
Yeah, and here another suggestion is for reference of their product, just stay in CNCF in so many places where platform engineer can pick up their solution, because there is no definitive solution for it. There are the integration with the other solution. This is the reality today.
The other place I wanted to circle back, because Lino brought up FinOps, and that comes back to one of my sort of corner thoughts around this AI infrastructure that we're building. Is the whole idea of FinOps is we're going to spend as much as required to get the maximum business value and no more. I'm not sure we're anywhere near that as we're building out these new data centers, because it seems that the number of actual business beneficial value to business delivery, other than thought leadership because we have a chatbot on our page, I'm not perceiving that there is that massive benefit that's yet been unlocked. Am I just missing it? Is it invisible?
You mean not the demand to have AI within
the business,
within your business?
The business.
I think, and I see, and that yes, there is, that it's very much a tool that is looking for a solution right now, but I think solutions are coming. As you know, it's or looking for a reason to, okay, take that back, cut that. What I think is that it's very much a tool that's looking for a reason to exist in a lot of places, a lot of ways right now. But that was because it took so much to create the models, to gather all the data, to train the models. Now that we have the hyperscalers that have invested the time, the energy, the money into doing that, you can take one of those models and then customize it, train it for your own data, and then that's going to give you the financial reason to do it. That's going to give you the business benefit in doing it, or the government benefit in being able to serve your constituents better, being able to answer their questions, being able to help them, renew their driver's license or, things like that better.
And I think we focus a lot recently, because it's newsy and hypey, of new things we can do with AI. But what I'm looking forward to and what I'm currently using it for now is how can I do the things I'm already doing much better content. I still have to do validation and all that stuff. But I think a lot of the uses will be more, like the volume of uses will be more doing what we currently do, just in a different way, versus there will be companies that'll do brand new things with AI. But your average, what I call regular companies, insurance, banks, retailers, and everything, they'll probably just use it to do, to build a greater margin, get more customers, or save costs, just like we do with any tech.
Yeah, and there are some, situations that are picturing in my mind. Like, do you remember in the past when many companies are moving outside from the data center to the cloud? They spend initially they are spending quite a reasonable amount of money. Then they discover year by year that this charge was really, really huge. And then they and today we are talking about FinOps as an answer of this, as an answer or as a solution to take your costs under control and without wasting money for your business, because you are focusing on your business. Now we are talking about another technologies that as an ITCO, but also as an operation cost, really. Really huge. We have to find a solution there to better optimize, but the first thing is, what's your business? Do you need 24 hours your training model that is running automatic pipeline? Or, as we can see with Inference, if I'm not wrong, not all the models should run 24 hours, but they are demanding the run of the model. So these are several situations that really depends on the business and depends on the money that you want to put on this solution.
And I think one of the places we will see not necessarily direct business value, but I'm thinking about assistive technologies. My own father, my parents-in-law are in their 80s, and their technical literacy is not improving, but their ability to express verbally what they want is still there. And there's definitely a big opening for assistive technologies where the way you interact and the way you work, particularly, my parents' generation are much happier to pick up something that looks like a phone and talk to what seems to be a human who is going to help them and be a heck of a lot more patient than their children are.
Yeah. I think it will expand. The use will expand. Data centers will be either built out, adapted, pods within a data center to handle the private local AI or cloud. The thing that bothers me, though, about something you said, Karen, is using it to do the things we do now, and that's the privacy and security side of that. Like, do I want some AI tool somewhere, a data set somewhere, knowing every question I ask or every, what about this rash?
Yeah, so that's the individual thing. So I'm thinking more of what they used to have to do in Tableau or Click or Power BI, write a query or something.
Cool.
Now they won't have to know all that technical stuff. So they're still asking the questions, and the questions are getting recorded. But you're right. As I ask my AI assistant weird questions, the first thing goes through my mind is, oh my gosh, this is being recorded. But also
Where?
searches happen that way. I want to say, don't remember this one. Don't report on me.
Do not track. As in
Yeah,
you
do not track for AI.
Do not learn.
Okay, new product idea.
Excellent. Well, I think we have been talking about this more or less nonstop for the last 4 days, which suggests that we could probably talk about it for more time once we've all had some sleep. So if people would like to carry on this conversation, where can they connect with each of you all?
So I blog at datamodel.com, and I'm data chick almost everywhere, especially Blue Sky.
All right. And I'm blogging on blog.linoproject.net, and also I run an Italian podcast for Italian folks that are following this channel, that is The Pipeline Guys. Yeah.
Cool. I don't have any place to blog right now, but I'm gonna be hitting up the Tech Field Day folks for that. But you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can find me on Blue Sky as Lady Networker.
Of course, I'm Alastair Cooke, and you'll find me everywhere that fine Futurum content is created. This podcast, like so many of ours, is available on the TechStrong platform as well as on the techfieldday.com/podcast. So wherever you like to consume your podcast, make sure to go ahead and subscribe, maybe drop us a review. And check out all of the awesome content from AI Infrastructure Field Day and all of our Tech Field Day events. You'll hear our voices from around the world, around the country, and around the industry, and we will bring another awesome piece of content to you next week.